so excited. Basketball is finally back. But with basketball being back, there are still some moves that have yet to be made. So we're going to go through 5-star players who could be traded this season. And let's start with Jimmy Butler. It's obvious, right? Jimmy Butler is obviously one of the 5-star players who could be traded this season. Frankly, because, it's Jimmy Butler, and he's going to get traded probably today or tomorrow. He's already demanded a trade. He doesn't want to play for the Timberwolves anymore. At this point, the only question with Jimmy Butler is whether or not he will sign an extension with the team that he gets traded to. Now, we know that the Nets have an open max slot. We know that the Clippers are going to have an open max slot, and we know the Knicks are going to have an open max slot this upcoming offseason. The other couple of teams that have been interested in him so far have been a team like the Miami Heat, who as of right now don't have that max slot open, but have made it very clear that they will trade away as many players as possible in order to open up that slot for Jimmy Butler. So my top 5 trade destinations for Jimmy Butler, I brought this up earlier in the show. Clippers 1, Heat 2, Nets 3, Pistons 4, Cavs 5. I think overall those are the 5 teams who have the best chance to end up with Jimmy Butler. My pick is the Los Angeles Clippers. I think they're going to pay through the nose to end up with a guy like Jimmy Butler. But watch out for the Miami Heat. Once Pat Riley gets his eyes set on a player, he usually ends up with that guy. So I still think the Miami Heat are a force to be reckoned with in the Jimmy Butler trade market. Let's go to my next player here. It's Anthony Davis. Now, I mentioned before that Anthony Davis, as of right now, he wants to stay in New Orleans. But when they asked him about it in his press conference, all he talked about was this upcoming season. He didn't talk anything about the future. And we know that he just switched to LeBron's agent and Rich Paul. We know that he's reportedly speaking with the Pelicans soon as well about his future. But if the Pelicans get to the trade deadline and they're a below 500 team, let's say they're number 11 or number 10 seed in the Western Conference and aren't out of the playoff hunt but are pretty far back, I wouldn't be surprised if the New Orleans Pelicans end up trading away Anthony Davis. I think his frustration levels are going to hit a peak this year. They lost DeMarcus Cousins in free agency. They lost Rajon Rondo in free agency as well. And the only players they ended up bringing in were Julius Randle and Elfrid Payton. That's not really what Anthony Davis is certainly looking for. So my top 3 trade destinations for Anthony Davis. I got the Celtics at 1. Until Anthony Davis gets traded, I think the Celtics will always be his top destination. We know that Danny Ainge is infatuated with him as a player. So I think once the Celtics can get Kyrie Irving's extension done, they will end up making a move for Anthony Davis. The Lakers come in at number 2. Simply, I think that agent connection is too strong to ignore. And then I'll put the Miami Heat on this list as well. We know they're looking for a star player. They have a lot of contracts that they'll be able to move with the Pelicans. And again, once Pat Riley gets his eye on the guy that he wants, Pat Riley is a force to be reckoned with in the trade market. But let me know in the comment section below, which team will Anthony Davis be on next season? Bet the SI is giving us some full odds. The Lakers at plus 210, give me a heart. The Celtics at plus 835. That'd be a pretty good bet. You risk $10, you win $83.50. The Pelicans, give me a like at plus 165 if you think he's going to stay in New Orleans. And then any other team in the NBA, their odds are plus 275. So you put down $10, you can win to $27.50. So head to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. Those Anthony Davis odds are insane. You can just make free money if Anthony Davis doesn't move teams. If he doesn't move teams, you can just end up winning just $17 free by putting down $10. It's that easy. Head to chatsports.com/bet to put down some bets on the NBA this season. Let's go to my next player. Either trade him or sign him, Hornets. Either trade Kemba Walker or sign him to a 5-year max extension. Because at this point, you do not have a future on this team. The Hornets are not making the playoffs this year. They're not. Straight up. They have a couple nice young players, but they just don't have any elite talent on this team after Kemba Walker. Nick Batum is not an elite talent. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is not an elite talent. I like Miles Bridges, but the jury is still out on whether or not he's going to be a good NBA player. So now you just have this elite level point guard on a bad Eastern Conference team. This just smells like a trade. This just smells like a trade. They got to get him to a title contender. He is a player who can make or break a title run for a specific team. Now, it is a shame because regardless of the team that Kemba Walker goes to, the Warriors are going to win the finals anyway. But if you're a team like the Suns and you think that you're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Western Conference over the next couple of years, why not just make a move? Why not try to just shove a couple of picks at the Hornets, take a young player as well and get Kemba Walker. Just go after him aggressively, and maybe you'll actually get him. I think the Detroit Pistons as well will make a run after him. I think Reggie Jackson is a joke as a starting point guard in the NBA. You add Kemba Walker to a team with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, I think the distribution on that team is desperately needed. I think Kemba Walker would be the perfect fit for that team. And I'm always going to put down the New York Knicks for Kemba Walker. I think they are infatuated with a guy like him. I think you just look at their point guard roster right now. Trey Burke, Emmanuel Mudiay, there's not fantastic talents. I know that Knicks fans have an infatuation with Trey Burke, but at this time, Kemba Walker is far and away a better player than Trey Burke. So watch out for the Knicks with Kemba this season. Let's go to my next player here, CJ McCollum. Mostly because if this Portland Trailblazers team fails again, they're going to have to blow it up eventually. If the Raptors are going to trade away DeMar DeRozan after being the number 1 seed in the East, the Blazers can absolutely trade CJ McCollum in the middle of the season. You can only fail with a group so many times. Not to mention, you would actually get a pretty good package back for CJ McCollum. Why not give him to a younger team like the Brooklyn Nets? That wouldn't be a bad idea. We know they're looking for a guy of his caliber. They're in the trade market for Jimmy Butler already. We know that there are a lot of young teams out there looking for kind of a veteran star player who isn't going to blow you up in terms of your cap. What about the Philadelphia 76ers? Elton Brand, the newly hired GM for the Sixers, has already talked about how they're still one piece away. I see a big open hole on the 76ers at that shooting guard spot. CJ McCollum would be a great combination next to Ben Simmons at the point guard spot, and he'd be a great combo as well with Joel Embiid for some kickouts, for some three-pointers. So I think the 76ers should definitely be an option. The Nets as well, and we know the Cleveland Cavaliers are in the market for another elite player. I think they can make a move for CJ McCollum. They could make a nice trade package with Rodney Hood and a couple other young players. Let's go to my last player. I'm going to get killed for this. I'm going to get absolutely killed, but you know what? I don't care. John Wall is one of my 5-star players who could be traded this season. Absolutely. Again, same issue as Portland. You can only fail with the same group so many times. If they get Dwight Howard up to the standards that he can be and the team is still bad, they might move on from John Wall and just try to blow it up. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I am, and I totally understand. He's probably the least likely of these 5 players to end up being traded. But if this team underperforms in an Eastern Conference with no LeBron James, you have to start asking questions about the leader of this team and the guy you just gave a Supermax contract to. And don't even tell me that they're not going to trade him because they just gave him that contract. The Clippers gave Blake Griffin a Supermax contract and traded him 5 months later. Anything is possible. This is the NBA. So if John Wall is going to get traded, here are a couple teams who I think they can move him to. The New Orleans Pelicans would be the perfect team for him. They are desperate for a starting point guard. They are desperate for a number 2 star to fit with Anthony Davis. And John Wall would be a great combo next to Drew Holiday. I would love to see the Pelicans make a run for John Wall. They would probably have to give up their first-round pick for the next 2 seasons. But it would most likely keep Anthony Davis in New Orleans for the foreseeable future if they're able to keep him in tow. I think the Pistons as well would be another great option for John Wall. And the New York Knicks, I'm going to put them on any single list for a star point guard until they either sign one or draft one. Because Trey Burke with Kristaps Porzingis and Kevin Knox, they're not going to have Trey Burke be their starting point guard of the future. We know that David Fizdale is going to want someone with a little more skill. If you want to get a shirt with as much skill as John Wall has as an NBA player, go to comfortable.af. Get yourself a Miz and a Main shirt today. Like I said before, I have so many of these shirts in my closet. I wake in the morning, I pluck one out, and I run to work. These are the best dress shirts ever. You can just shove them in a bag, you pull them out, no wrinkles. Look at this, no wrinkles. I pulled this out of my bag about 25 minutes ago. Absolutely no wrinkles. These Miz and the Main shirts are fantastic if you're someone with a quick acting life like myself. We are watching NBA Now here on Chat Sports. I'm your host, Harris Rubenstein. You can catch NBA Now every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We will be back next week with some more NBA news and rumors.